Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Very good question, Sheikh. How can we make sure we're not competing for the dunya, yet taking chances in our lives? Because I think there might be a fine line there.
So basically you're saying that how can we make sure that when as we are taking our chances, we don't get this basically dissolved into the matters of dunya?
Yeah, matter of dunya, kind of competing, trying to have more money than the other person, better job, and so on. I think there might be a fine line there between those two thoughts.
There is indeed a fine line over there actually. So we as Muslims, we hold a very actually high rules of ethics basically. Meaning in terms of not cheating, not lying, not stepping on other people's backs to get to your position and all the stuff and so on. So whenever we say that you take chances, that doesn't mean that you go and violate other people's rights. No, taking chances, that means you take, as we said, the right action, making the right decision, and taking some risk, inshallah, for that position, but without committing any haram. It's not worth it to get where you want to get regardless of the circumstances. No, we don't believe in this materialism, basically. You always make sure that what you do is haram, permissible for you to do that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the story of Qarun was the very wealthy, rich man of Bani Israel. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to him, وَابْتَغِ فِي مَا أَتَاكَ اللَّهُ الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةَ. Means whatever Allah has given you of the boundaries of this dunya, seek the pleasure of the akhirah with it. And then Allah said to him, وَلَا تَنْسَ نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا, but don't forget about your share in this world. So we have to maintain balance between our plans for the akhirah and plans for the dunya as well. Wallah. A question here, seems to come from my brother for sure. How do I ask a sister for marriage? My answer is first ask your parents. If they accept that from you, it means you're ready, inshallah. If they don't accept that from you, don't even try. Because honestly, you're going to consume yourself in the love kind of thing, which is going to kill you without being able to achieve anything in reality. So my recommendation for the brothers, before you go and ask a sister for marriage, if you're really ready for it, meaning if your parents are approving it, you have the support of the family, and you have financial, alhamdulillah, stability and so on, then yeah, I agree with you. If you get to that point, then come to me and ask the question. But this seems to be a question that, I just have a sister and I would like to take chances, so I don't want to miss her and lose her for someone else. How can I basically reserve this sister before it's too late? I would say take chances by preparing yourself so that when you go and you propose, they would say, welcome. Instead of saying, and who's your dad, sonny? So make sure that you're ready for it before you go and you propose. Now. Can a Muslim man marry a non-Muslim girl? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that in Surah Al-Ma'idah, وَالْمُحْصَنَاتُ مِنَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ, which means the women of the people of the book. So it's permissible for a Muslim to marry a woman who's a Christian or a Jew. Ahl Kitab. Do sins disqualify someone from the 70,000? Basically, if so, what types? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Rahim, He's oft forgiving, most merciful. And He mentioned, the Prophet mentioned these 4 qualities in particular that would disqualify the person from being among the 70,000. So you do your best, inshallah ta'ala, that whatever actually you do, not that you don't seek ruqya from other people. Can you do ruqya for yourself? Yes, you can. You can, you yourself read the ruqya, and you can offer it to someone else without them requesting that. You can do it for your spouse, for your child, for your friend, and so on. But you don't ask people by saying, can you do ruqya for me? That's one thing. It's not haram though. I want you to understand, it's not haram. If you really need it and you think it's beneficial to you and you're going to ask for it, then that's fine. But this qualifies the person from the 70,000. And superstition also, same thing. It disqualifies the person from that. Like, for example, thinking of number 13, or a black cat, on Friday, all these kind of things and so forth. So there are some forms of superstition people they have actually these days here. How to make up for missed prayers. If you're attending my class, Divine Link class, I will answer this inshallah this weekend, tomorrow morning. And if you're not attending the class, well, you lost a chance already. But I would say making up for the missed salawat if the person had missed actually salawat for many years, then they should work hard on their nafila. Meaning add a lot of sunnah. Don't just be satisfied with the 5 daily prayers, add more. Before the salah, after the salah, unless it's prohibited time. But if we're all made qiyam al-layl during the day, inshallah, hopefully this will compensate for the loss of these years. But if it's just a salah that you missed right now, let's say you didn't pray Maghrib and it's already Isha time, simply just make wudu, pray Salat al-Maghrib the way you do it if it was on time, and then you pray Isha afterwards, inshallah. From the sister side, if we didn't make up the missed days of Ramadan, can we still fast the 10 days of the Hijjah? You're not going to be able to fast 10 days of the Hijjah because the 10th is the Eid day anyway, so now you cannot fast that day. But yes, you can. You can fast these days of the Hijjah if you will. And as a matter of fact, these are not like Shawwal. Shawwal is exclusive season, so you have to fast Shawwal separately from making up for the days of Ramadan. But if you'd like to make your days of Ramadan during these 9 days or 8 days of the Hijjah, then yes, except for Arafah. Arafah has to be for Arafah only. So eventually I would say yes, you can make actually the intention for both at the same time. Allah. Does dua change al-qadr, which means predestination from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The Prophet ﷺ says in the hadith, which is sahih, that if anything struggles, or basically would do anything for al-qadr, would be a dua, and also salat al-rahim, being youthful to your kinship. And the meaning of this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by His divine and ultimate absolute knowledge, knows that you're going to make dua one day. So the destiny was supposed to be for you, will be actually changed based on that, and it's already been written for you in your record, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will extend your age, Allah will give you provision and rizq, Allah will make things better for you and so forth. Wallahu a'lam. What if you feel bad about being first? Because there are others and you don't want them to feel bad. How do we deal with this issue of embarrassment of being first? Well, if you really try to show off that you're first all the time, then yeah, you might embarrass other people. But if you become first because, alhamdulillah, Allah blessed you with that, be happy. One time the Prophet ﷺ was asked, Ya Rasulullah, الرجل يعمل العمل يحمد عليه الناس. Sometimes we do the work, we don't have any intention to show off to people, we're just doing it for the sake of Allah, but then people, they know about it, they hear about it, they start talking about it. So what do we do on this case? Should we stop and quit doing good deeds because of this? He said, no. تِلْكَ عَاجِلُ بُشْرَ الْمُؤْمِنِ. That is the quick and immediate good news given to the believer. So that's just like good news for you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted from you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you for it, and so on. So it is good to do that. But if you're going to be becoming first and start looking at others and just start teasing them because you're first, then that's a big problem. There's a problem with your intentions here. If you're becoming first because Allah blessed you with that, you should be proud of it. The Prophet ﷺ, he one time was eating, and then he was with a companion with Quran, and he says, "Ana Sayyidu walad Adam wala fakhr." I am the Sayyid, the master of the children of Adam. Wala fakhr. I'm not being proud of it. Not being basically. This is not showing this pride, just this pride basically. But it's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'm proud of it. So if Allah blessed you with that, and you're not trying to make others, feel bad because you're becoming first and so on, that is fine. Alhamdulillah, from a personal experience, just like it was mentioned to you in the introduction actually, I came valedictorian in my batch in 1996 in British Sharia, of more than 500 students actually. And wallahi, the first year when I was studying, I was doing my part because I loved studying the subject I was studying. Eventually, I was shocked, wallahi, I was shocked and surprised that the first year I came first. And that's all actually year. So and now that I'm known to be the first student, everybody looking at you, mashallah, mashallah, and people start calling you shaykh and all this stuff and so on, it was really embarrassing. Truly embarrassing. I didn't know what to do. What I did in second year, I made a deliberate, I call it actually sabotage for my reputation in terms of degrees. So what I did not study for exams intentionally, so I went from the first all the way down to the 11th. And then some of my mashayikh, they came to me, some of my teachers actually, they came to me. Allah, I still remember him, radiallahu anhu, he told me that, what's going on? I feel that this is something wrong, this is not you who's basically doing that. So I explained the situation from how much this brought attention to me, I didn't really like and so forth and so on. So he gave me a very, very beautiful advice. He said, listen, if you're doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wallahi, it doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, if you're doing it for the sake of Allah, you might be a source of inspiration for others. So therefore, why do you miss this opportunity of being an inspiration for others? If you really keep it in your intention, it's done only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And from there on, I, alhamdulillah, went back again doing my best until the last year, but alhamdulillah, I did it actually one more time, and I got the valedictorian position. So I would say, don't feel embarrassed being first, but if you have that feeling of showing off, being proud over others, then you need to check your intention. What day of the Hijjah is Hajj? The Hajj of the Hajj, basically we're talking about the actual start of the activities of Hajj. They begin from the 8th of the Hijjah. The 8th, the 9th, and then 3 more days after that. So you have 10, 11, 12, and that's when people start getting ready for the 13th. So these are the 5 days of the Hajj, inshallah. As for the Hijjah, the entire Hijjah itself begins, inshallah, hopefully on perhaps maybe Monday. So you will have about 8 days if you'd like to do fasting and so on. Then 9th, which is the Arafah day, also fasting day. The 10th is the Eid day. It's also a day of worship, but you cannot fast during the Eid day. Okay, can we take this, maybe just a couple of, yes, go ahead. Why should we get back to this problem?
We spoke about making decisions. Can you talk a little bit about the role of istikhara and at what stage we should do it? And is there like a small form we can do for making small decisions?
Jazakallah khair. The brother's asking about, when you make a decision, you also need to make istikhara. Istikhara, for those who don't know what istikhara is, it's when you pray 2 rak'ah, if you have a matter that you need to make a decision on. The Prophet ﷺ recommends that you make wudu, an ablution, act of ablution, and then you pray 2 rak'ah and make a specific dua that's known in books of supplication and invocation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we make that invocation and supplication, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance. So the istikhara means seeking guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in regard to a matter that you need to make a decision on. So that's what does it mean. Where does it play in this whole issue? There are 2 things that you need to make in order to make a decision. One is called istishara, and one is istikhara. The istishara, when you seek mashura, counsel, or basically advice. So you first, you ask people for advice, and then you make your istikhara from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you make your final decision on it. So someone, let's say a sister, she receives a proposal from a guy. And now she feels confused. She wants to know who this person is. So she asks people. And they give her good, some people they give, mashallah, positive feedback, others they give a little bit negative feedback. She's feeling confused right now. She doesn't know what decision to make. After she made all her part in asking for advice, then she makes her istikhara and asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help her in making that decision. Istikhara overall is not binding, which means if you didn't have any feeling of inclination towards saying this way or that way, you can still make a decision. And even if the feeling is negative and you take the other side, you're still okay, inshallah. It's not binding and it's not haram to go against Allah. Sister, do you have any question? Yes?
I just recently started practicing Islam. I started praying 5 times a day. I tried, but...
Alhamdulillah, congratulations.
Thank you. I tried, actually. I'm not really perfect at it yet. But my question is, sometimes I feel like questioning... Okay. Sometimes I feel like questioning Allah, like, oh, why did you not do this? Why did you do this and that? So does that mean that my faith is not strong enough? Or when I question Him, like, sometimes, because I love music. I used to listen to music a lot, but now I try not to listen to music because it's forbidden. So, but I sometimes feel like, okay, just one time.
No,
So, but does that mean
that's for the good old days, right?
I guess. But does that mean I have weak faith or?
No. You're doing fine. The Prophet ﷺ said that this is something natural, that we always will have these kind of questions in our minds. the Prophet ﷺ says, sometimes you will have this question in your mind, you say, Man khalaqa kada, man khalaqa kada, who created this, who created that? And you always say, Allah, 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 who created this? And then you come at one point and you say, okay, then who created Allah? The Prophet ﷺ says, if the shaitan takes you that route, just say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitan. I seek refuge with Allah of the shaitan, and then quit these questions. What does that mean? That means because we are human beings. We are basically, you're not infallible. And you're a finite being. You're just eventually going to die one day. So what is beyond matter, it's beyond our comprehension. So what is beyond this, our life, is actually beyond our comprehension to a certain extent. So we always have to make sure that when we start asking these questions, we know that it's in our control. So when you wonder why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did that or did this, instead of wonder, I would say questioning Allah, I would say wonder. So just, I wonder why this is happening. There's a difference between questioning and just wondering about things. So I wonder why this is happening to me, for example. You're basically seeking for the wisdom. But if you question Allah, now you're rejecting His divine plan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ وَالْخَيْرِ فِتْنَةً. We are going to try you and test you with both. That which is good and that which is bad. Sometimes good is not just because you are good, it's part of the test. It's because Allah wants to see, what are you going to do with this good thing I'm giving you right now? Are you going to be grateful or not? And sometimes when He tries you with something that is bad, it's not that He hates you, He's given up on you. He's just testing you to see how patient you're going to be during this difficult time. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does all these things, there is always wisdom behind it. The Prophet ﷺ says, عَجِبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ. How strange the affair of the believer. كُلُّ أَمْرُهُ لَهُ خَيْرٌ. Everything he does is good for him. إِنْ أَصَابَتْهُ سَرًّا شَكَرَ فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. If something good befalls him, he will be grateful and that will be good for him. And if something bad happens to him, وَنَ أَصَابَتْهُ ضَرًّا صَبَرَ فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. And if something bad happens to him, he will be patient and that will be also good for him. So the believer always between being grateful and being patient. Questioning and wondering, that is normal. What we're going to do, we need to suppress these basically thoughts and educate ourselves about the subject of trials, the subject of the meaning of life, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us for, why is these things perhaps happening by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, when you wonder about these issues, it's a legitimate thing and you will find the answer for it. But if you try to question it as if you're questioning basically the meaning of God to begin with, Wallahu a'lam. It's going to take a while, inshallah. But I guarantee if you keep going with this path of being between grateful and patient, you will succeed, inshallah. And I wish you the best.
Thank you. Can I ask one more?
Let's me have the brother side, please. Exactly. You guys any question? Sisters? Yes, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. My question was, I've researched the Hajj prayer a couple of times, but I never came to a consensus as to how many rakats to do. I learned it in different ways, and I guess I learned it through ancestry or whatever, how my parents did it and my parents before, their parents. So I was wondering, after doing research, I couldn't figure out how many rakats specifically it is, because some people do say it's 4, some people say 8, some people say 11, some people say 20. And I was wondering if you could clear that up for me, and if there's certain surahs that you're supposed to recite when doing that prayer.
Are you attending Divine Link class?
Sorry.
You already missed that opportunity. But we're going to talk about this in details on Sunday, inshallah ta'ala, afternoon. But just for your question, the Prophet ﷺ said, Salatul Layl matna matna. The night prayer should be performed in units of 2. He did not set a limit for that in terms of number. However, his style of Qiyamul Layl would be to pray these salawat and make them very long and beautiful. And he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about the best part of the night prayer, he says, Tulul Qunut, the long recitation. The longer you recite, the better the salah is. Some people, what they do, they pray 100 rak'ah, Qul huwallahu ahad each. That's good. Alhamdulillah, may Allah reward them for it. But if you would like to have the strong and real benefit of it, is that you need to recite very long, actually, recitation per rak'ah, which means you're going to listen the number of rak'ah. The Prophet ﷺ lengthy salah would limit to 8 rak'ah. So he would pray 8 rak'ah, according to Hadith Aisha radiallahu anha. He never actually added more than that, except for the witr as well becomes 11. So eventually that was his style, sallallahu in terms of number and in terms of length. But if someone is not going to be able to perform that length of the recitation, then the Prophet says 2 units of 2, as many as you wish. What should I recite in night prayers? Whatever you know of the Quran, if you know long surahs, is better. If you could not say long surahs, you can recite the short surahs many times per rak'ah to make it long. So for example, if you only know 3 surahs of the Quran, you can recite them 20 times, 50 times, as many, don't even count. Just keep reciting them until you just feel that you have done enough. Then you make ruku'. That would be enough for you, inshallah ta'ala. Is it permissible to hold the mushaf in Arabic? The Arabic one, while you're reciting the night prayers? I personally don't recommend that. Because eventually you're not going to feel it. You're going to be busy just trying to read the calligraphy of the mushaf, which makes it difficult for you. So the best way of doing it, just recite what you know by heart and just try to feel what you're saying. Wallahu ta'ala. And I hope this answers the question, inshallah. Right. Can you make the qada salah in jama'ah? The answer is tomorrow in the finding, inshallah ta'ala. But yes, you can. Hadith Bilal radiallahu ta'ala, when they woke up and they did not pray Fajr, the Prophet ﷺ, he ordered the adhan to be called, they made wudu, they prayed the sunnah, and they prayed jama'ah together with Rasulullah ﷺ. So it's alright to do that. Is whistling and clapping haram? Now, well, I've read actually, subhanAllah, it's very ironic because I was reading about this issue just yesterday and even today in the morning when I was reading about the subject. The classical opinion that probably have heard about it is that, men should not be clapping because of the Prophet ﷺ said, "At-tasfiqu lin-nisa." Clapping should be for women. But if you don't look deep into this actually practice, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that in salah, when you need to notify the imam for a mistake that he has done, you should not be clapping. This is for men. Rather just say subhanallah. And women, they just clap so that they alert the imam that he made a mistake. So that's in salah. Outside the salah, the ulama, they argued about this issue. And there is actually a very popular opinion among the fuqaha that it's not appropriate for men to do that. Other ulama, they say it is actually considered a non-devotional act, and therefore it's permissible. Some they say makruh, like Shaykh Al-Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala's opinion, my Shaykh actually. His opinion on the subject of clapping for men, he said, "La uhibbu." I don't like it, but I cannot say it's haram. He said, if people they would like to encourage others and so forth, he said, I don't like that practice, but he said, I cannot say that it's haram. So I would follow that opinion that myself actually. I just said it depends, to observe this orthodox opinion. I would say it's not haram, but it's left for the person. It says personal choice. Whether it's said it's makruh or just to stay away from it. Regarding how to ask a woman in marriage, if you see a sister in public or an event and you want to express interest, how do you do it? It seems that the brothers are ready to start from this evening. Well, if you guys are seriously ready for it, may Allah make it easy for you. But if you're not ready for it, wallahi akhwan, take my advice. This is for both brothers and sisters. Guys, stop watching TV. What you see on TV, the boy and the girl, they bump into each other, hi, oh, they fall in love together, they get married afterwards. It doesn't happen in real life. There's a specific etiquette that needs to be followed in this case. It's not haram for a man to directly propose to a girl. This is not haram. Imam Bukhari rahimahullah he said a chapter on this subject, and he says even a woman is allowed to propose to a guy directly. If she sees someone, she sees that he's mashallah qualified and good and so forth, and she expressed interest directly to him in a very, very respectful manner, then that's fine. But it depends on the culture. If the culture doesn't allow that, then start trying to avoid it. Otherwise, it might backlash on you, and you never actually get an opportunity to marry her or him. So it depends on the culture here. So it's all right for a man to express interest. And my recommendation that if you're ready and you know that your family will support you and so on, then you need to find someone who's married, who can have his wife maybe as a third party to see if she's interested first. So that you don't embarrass yourself if she says no in your face. So therefore, if the third party tells you, wallahi, they're open, which means they're open for negotiation, for discussing the matter. In this case, bismillah, go for it and propose, and inshallah from there, she needs to bring her wali into the subject and have that act on a very high official level. Don't tell me, well, can we just be on campus to get to know each other and so on? I know you guys, you're already doing it, so why are you asking the question anyway? Is it the right thing? No. No, I have seen it. And I've given advice for many guys. I said, you're living your dreams. You just get yourself attached to someone in a hope that your parents will say okay to him or her. And then when they say to you, no, on my dead body, then you start basically crying and making your life miserable and their lives miserable. It basically becomes a drama. So do it the right way. If you're not yet ready for marriage, don't even approach that path. Stay away from these issues. Keep focused on your class and your school, inshallah. Love is not haram. If it falls on you, it falls on you. But what really matters is, what are you going to do about these feelings? If you have good feelings for someone, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to take the right course of action, the halal course of action, or are you going to waste your energy and your deen because of that issue? So be careful with that. For the brothers and sisters who become Muslims, and they join, alhamdulillah, the camp of Islam and Muslims, first of all, I would like to say congratulations for the brothers and sisters. I was told we have, alhamdulillah, a sister who came and joined in Islam recently. So I would say congratulations, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for that. What I would like to tell you and give you the good news, that when you come to Islam, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, you come with a surplus, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will erase all your sins. You come with a very fresh and blank page when it comes to sin. But for the good deed that you have done in your life, you will carry that with you into Islam, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Another thing is that everything you do, you will have your reward twice. I have to struggle twice as much as you do, because I was born in Islam. But you, coming to Islam, you had your chances twice. And since you chose Islam as a path, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you your twice marratayn. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ajrun marratayn. So you give your reward twice. So enjoy, inshallah ta'ala, your company of the Muslims. I would like to advise you that it's a time right now to learn slowly and gradually. Don't get too excited about doing so many things at the same time, but just at the same time, don't be too slow. The more, inshallah, that you encourage yourself to go and become independent, it's better for you. It's better to have only one individual, inshallah, who can help you go through the beginning of your studies in Islam in terms of aqidah, theology, practice, and so on. And once you become, alhamdulillah, more strong in this area, you become more independent, and you can even, after that, open up, for other people. So eventually, do your best, inshallah, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you immensely in this dunya and the akhirah. My sisters and I created a youth group for young Muslim girls. It takes place at a masjid. However, the imam of our masjid does not support it. And it feels like it's a secretive youth group. Should we change the location? No, change the password. I feel really sad. I feel really sad that the masajid are not the places will welcome the gatherings of the brothers and the sisters when they come to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I wish I have control over the situation, but I suggest that you talk to your elders. I mean, I'm sure that you guys have parents, right? And your parents want you to come to the masjid to become better Muslims. So therefore, talk to your parents, talk to the administration, to make some influence that this masjid is not, it's not an ownership by anyone. It's for the whole community, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you. And I would definitely support you that you guys get together and learn your deen, inshallah. Hopefully, perhaps, maybe one day, you will have, inshallah, the imam engage in this group by giving you special exclusive classes, inshallah, with the presence of some other elders in your community. Allah. Is it must to ask permission from parents in a case of marriage? Allah, if you want to start your marital relationship with a big mess, then don't ask for it. So eventually, if you would like to have a peaceful marital life, because again, marriage, one more time, stop watching TV, ya Jama'ah. And the Cinderella style, he fell in love with her, she fell in love with him, and they lived happily ever after. It doesn't happen that way. You are not just about you and her or you and him. It's much more than that. It's a whole, actually, family constellation. That involves my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, my cousins, my relatives. It's a whole different world when you get married. So therefore, don't say that, you know what, I don't want my parents' support, I can do it on my own. No, that's not right. Unless you live a special, unique lifestyle. For example, I don't have parents. Or maybe, alhamdulillah, I'm a convert, so eventually my parents, maybe they might not support me marrying a Muslim anyway. Or something like that. So eventually, if you have a very unique situation, then this is a case-by-case scenario. You need to ask about it individually to give you the right answer, inshallah. Like, people are still insisting on marriage issues. Should have made it love notes again, part 2. Like, my friend asked, this is another question here. My friend asked me the other day whether animals go to Al-Jannah. Does it matter? Anyway, maybe you have a pet and that's why you want to make sure that it goes with you to Al-Jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet said on Judgment Day, Allah will resurrect all the animals. And they will come in that plane first, and Allah will judge between them first. So let's say if a lion prayed a deer is going to go and attack that lion. If a dog went after a cat after a mouse. Eventually they will take revenge and retaliate from each other. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Kunu turaba, become dust. So they all become dust. And that's when the kafir, as they look at them, they turn dust. He would say, Ya laytani kuntu turaba, I wish I can be a dust like this. Which means that they wish that they have been animals in dunya and not to be judged to go to Jahannam. So from this hadith we learn that the animals will be judged, and then Allah will take basically retaliation for them from each other, and then they will turn into dust. Are there going to be any other animals in Al-Jannah? We know that there were birds and other animals, but are these the animals of the dunya? Allahu A'lam. Another question about mahar. You don't want to seem cheap, but then again the sister has left the mahar, which is the dowry, up to you. How do you determine the mahar? I would say the best way of doing that, it's basically a smart technique from the sister, by the way. But if she left that for you, the way they determine the mahar is by looking into her class. I mean by class, her family. So if she has sisters and they got married, how much they were paid for mahar? Her cousins, for instance, their relatives, how much they basically determine mahar with, and so forth. Also your own family as well. So if you pay mahar at the average $5,000, $6,000, don't be cheap and pay $500. So this is what you're going to give from the average. And if she's in her family, she takes the average of $5,000, $6,000 mahar. Don't go and try to show up and pay 100,000, and then start always taunting her with how much you paid for that. So be reasonable and determine that from the class that you have around. There's so many questions about marriage. I'm looking for questions relevant to the subject in the last 5 minutes we have. Again, marriage. I answered this question already. Answer this question. I feel like too many practicing Muslims see the religion of Islam as a set of mere practices. Let me put it this way, rituals. They consider this become like rituals. You have to pray regardless of the meaning of what you're making. Sometimes you fast Ramadan not knowing why, but because everybody's doing it over there. So they take it as rituals. Islam is practical and also fulfills the need of humans to become very spiritual. How can we balance out the spiritual and practicing aspects of Islam and not become robots. Now, like the subject of halal haram. SubhanAllah, I mean, that is true. I mean, I do agree with you that living in this material life, it seems that people, they're so much into the dunya that they're interested in the minimum of the practice. Meaning, just make my 5 daily prayers, fast the month of Ramadan, give my zakah, practice al-Eid, and I'm done. And they do it in any cost, meaning it's the cheapest. If the least effort is required of me, I'll do it and they leave. Because of this, they lost the spirit of their ibadah and their worship. They walk in the streets, you don't see this samaha, which means the spiritual aspect of their ibadah. It doesn't reflect in their actions. Why? Because it's not coming from the heart. It's coming just from my limbs, from my hands, from my mouth, and so forth. If you truly would like to practice Islam in all your life, then you have to think of it coming from inside out. It's not just about you doing your duty of 5 daily prayers and I'm done. This is not the way it should be. It should be actually more deeper than that. So you make sure, inshallah, that when you make your ibadah, that you're looking beyond just the physical practice of the salah. This salah is a reminder for you that every day you are now in trial, and you are basically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing you with that, and it's a reconnection between you and Allah Azza wa Jal. Whenever you walk outside this room, remember, Allah is watching over you because you just worshipped Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you always remind yourself, and this becomes spiritual. And when you deal with people, you know that you're a Muslim, you display good character, you become actually spiritual. So it's not just by these rituals that we see in our masajid or homes.